Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast, a father-daughter duo focusing on sharing revelations through conversations with the Lord. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast. I'm Lindsay here with my dad Shane, and today's episode is going to be a little different than our typical episodes. Now, if you watch our channel, you know that we do deep dives into biblical revelations, a lot of end times things. But today we're going to be talking about former President Donald Trump and a word the Lord gave us for this time.
Yeah, Lindsay, I got a word back on January 6th about Donald Trump, and I put it out on Facebook, but I didn't really push it very hard. My gift is to interpret things,
Correct.
kind of an interpreting prophet. I don't really prophesy a lot of things, but I hear and I do get words of knowledge from time to time. But that's not my big gift. My big gift is to look at the situation and put it together. And that's why I like the scripture so much, as the Lord interprets those passages to me.
Right.
So when that gift kicks in, well, one of the things the Lord had pointed out to me, that Donald Trump will be the one that gets the two-state solution together, and that he will broker that. And I thought he was going to do it in his first term. Now, I did not get a word that he was going to have two terms, but I did get a word that he was going to be the one that brokered it. So when he didn't win, I was like, whoa, what's up with this? Back, on January the 6th, when all the turmoil took place, that night I prayed a prayer. And I asked the Lord, I said, well, what's going on? I thought you revealed to me that he was going to be the one. And here he's not even going to be president.
It was such a confusing.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't understand this, because they had confirmed, everything. And I was like, okay, what's going on with this? Well, that night, that very night, I was actually having to stay with my mother because my dad was sick.
Okay.
And I was asleep, and I woke up pretty early in the morning, and I was praying. I was like, God, I don't understand this. And the Spirit opened up a hole and spoke to me. He said, it's the strategy of AI. I was like, the strategy of AI, what in the world is that?
You know that was from the Lord, because that you wouldn't just come up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, what is the strategy of AI? So I flipped through the Bible and I found AI. Now, when they came into the promised land, of course, they took Jericho first.
Right.
The next little town they went to was Ai. And so there was a guy named Achan had stolen a Babylonian garment, a wedge of gold, and some silver. They went up to Ai and started to fight it. And of course, Ai kicked her tails.
Right.
And then Joshua came back later, and we'll stick up those verses where you can look it up. But Joshua came back later and said, hey, what's going on here? And the Lord said, there's sin in the camp. And so they paraded all the families by, and they came across Achan, and he finally confessed, and they found the Babylonian garment, the wedge of gold, and the silver in his tent. And then they stoned him and all his family and all his kids and everything. All right. Well, this is where the strategy of AI comes in. So what their strategy this time was, since that Israel had been defeated the last time, AI was pumped. We kicked their tail once, they come back some more, get some more of this. So what they did is they went up to AI, and then when everybody was getting ready to fight, they ran.
Okay.
So everybody in the city thought, oh, we got them again, so they all poured out of the city and they surrounded them, and then they destroyed them. And then they went in and burned up the city. All right.
Wow.
And I was like, what's the deal with that? How is this Trump thing a strategy of AI?
Right.
And so as time went on, I kept thinking, well, strategy AI, the guy looks like he's defeated. He looks like he's going down. It looks like they're all going to be, they're all running and everybody's scared.
Right. Yeah.
And then they come out of the city, and then, of course, they know. Well, that's what's happened with Trump. That's what the Lord has revealed to me that he meant by that. Trump didn't know who his enemies was.
Ooh.
He had no idea who his enemies was. And now he knows who his enemies is. And he is going to be elected for the second term.
Right.
And, we're not being political here. I'm being more prophetic than I am political.
Right.
But he's going to be elected, and his job is to get that two-state solution. And the enemy knows that. And the enemy is doing all this stuff to stop him from getting into office because he knows he will fulfill that in the future. And that's why there's been such a
Uproar.
And coming against Trump with all these lawsuits, with all these things that's happened.
And they try to murder him now.
Yeah, the other day they tried to shoot him. So, but I did not see that coming. I have heard people that did see it coming, but I didn't see that coming. But here's what I did know. I knew he hadn't done the strategy of AI yet.
So he had to have that second term to do so.
Well, he did. And the strategy of AI, of course, is a military. All right. It's a military maneuver. All right.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what I feel like God showed me. God showed me that when Trump gets into office, all right,
Okay.
he's going to use the military to clear out some things.
I can totally see that happening.
And that's the full strategy of AI because it was a military maneuver. So I wanted to let you know, and you can watch it, that he will have military tribunals. There'll be stuff, and that's the only way he can clean up the corruption, and that's coming.
Yeah.
All right. And that was the strategy. Yeah, now Trump, even those in even the Democrats, but even those in the Republican Party that he didn't know if he was friends or not, have come out now. People have turned against him that was actually Republicans.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's so much hate for him. It has to be that.
So this is more spiritual than it is physical.
Mhm.
So he has a spiritual destiny to fulfill. And the fulfillment of this goes back to Isaiah 45.
Okay.
So Trump is the 45th president. And in Isaiah 45, it talks about Cyrus. Now, the Jews count him as Cyrus. All right. What did Cyrus do? Cyrus allowed them to build their temple back. And that's how we're viewing Donald Trump, to build the temple back. And he will get that done. And he will be the one that gets the two-state solution together. And that's why there's such a fight to keep him out of office. It's a spiritual fight. And so, because his destiny is set there, that's why all this trouble's happening to him. All right. And so, but it will come to pass. And the AI strategy is still going on. The strategy of AI will be manifested even more and more. And it will cause quite the rift as I see it. So let's go over to Isaiah 45 and read about Cyrus and see what Cyrus did. All right.
Okay.
We got to throw some scripture into our podcast.
Okay, we're Isaiah 45, verse 1. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of kings to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. I will go before thee, and I will make the crooked places straight. I will break into pieces the gates of brass, and cut it sunder the bars of iron.
Yeah, so God told Cyrus that he was going to give him Babylon, basically, the gates of brass. And this is Isaiah 45.
Okay.
Donald Trump is the 45th president. All right.
Okay.
Now, there's another passage in here that brought some more clarity because after I asked the Lord and he told me about the strategy of AI, I ran across another passage that the lights came on that was in Ezra. And Ezra's verse says that Cyrus did this temple building thing in the second year of his reign.
Oh.
Then it dawned on me, oh, he's going to do this in his second term after AI, after he becomes aware of who his enemies really are,
right? Yeah,
all of his enemies, then he will be able to deal with them all. And then he will accomplish in his second term this two-state solution. I thought it was going to be in his first term, but after this and after he didn't get elected, I was like, God, what's up with this? I mean, you told me this. And it's like, oh, it's a strategy of AI. He has to know who his enemies are.
Right. Yeah.
In other words. And so that's what's happened here. So in his second term is when he'll fulfill the Cyrus mandate. So that's started hitting me. And I'm like, oh, because if he had been in state as president,
Mm-hmm.
2020 through 2024,
right,
then he would miss the window of 2025.
Right. It,
right?
it may, so I did call you when he did it because we were all, a lot of the prophets were saying, oh, he's get a second term. When he didn't get it, and when they inauguration went through and everything, I called you and was like, wait a second. I thought you said that the strategy of AI, because I remember you saying that. But it makes more sense. The strategy of AI makes more sense now than it did then.
Yeah, what was perplexing to me is that the Lord had revealed to me that He was the one that was going to get this two-state solution met, and his son-in-law uh, is a Jewish person, which is pushing that. So you can see how God positioned everybody to cause Donald Trump to even want to do this. And of course, Donald Trump recognized their embassy,
Right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and after all these years. So they start saying, "Oh, he's Cyrus." He said, "He's the minted coins that," and I was like, "Lord, what's happening here?" When this January 6th thing came around, what's
Right.
going on here? So the strategy AI, and I was like, so I studied out that strategy, and then it became very clear, and now it's even more clear.
It makes more sense now than it
You don't
did.
know who your enemies are until they feign you weak.
Yes.
Once they think you're weak, they'll turn on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the Republicans have turned on Trump.
Yes.
And now he knows who his real enemies are. And
Yes.
he knows which judges are his enemies. And
Yes.
he knows all these things now that he did not know.
Right. And it's so much clearer
So much
now,
clearer.
4 years later. And like you said, now he can be the one to usher in the end time, like be in office while.
Right. He wouldn't have been in office had he went ahead and won his second term immediately.
Right. And that was all God's plan.
And I
Like
did,
everybody was so shocked.
yeah, well, I didn't understand it either. Not till he said that. And I was like, well, and I also expected, I was sitting there expecting, okay, they're going to overturn the election and he's going to get to.
How
Then when they didn't, I'm like, what's going on here? And I thought, wait a minute. If they did and he went in, his term would be up and he wouldn't be there in 2025. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yep.
Makes so much sense. So that's one of the things we wanted to tell you because I did hear the Lord clearly saying it was a strategy of AI. And so that is why some of this stuff is happening to him. Even our recent
Yeah.
with the,
Attempted murder.
attempted murder of him, he is not going to miss his destiny. Now,
Yes.
when you don't act like a Christian, David didn't act like a Christian sometimes.
Listen, God uses the most unlikely people.
Nebuchadnezzar did not act like a Christian.
Right.
He used him. And Cyrus called him his anointed. And Cyrus was worshiping false gods.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think he later changed because of this prophecy, because they read him this prophecy.
Yes.
So, yeah, God uses even rough people that we don't understand for his purposes.
Absolutely. Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Paul.
Christians. He turned out to write, a lot of the New Testament. Like, I love how God uses that because we're all messed up
Well,
and he can redeem us all.
well, look at Abraham. He lied. Look at David. He killed somebody for their wife. I mean, you go right on down, and yeah, we don't have to be perfect. It's the grace of God. It's the heart
Yes.
willing to receive Him is what regenerates us. It's not our moral stature.
Right.
So, yeah, I really feel like this something's going to happen to Trump to up his spiritual uh, connection.
Yes. If he's not already saved, after the Lord literally spared his life, he was like a millimeter away from that. If he wouldn't have turned his head, I'm sure y'all have seen that. Like, he would be dead today.
And
Lord watched over him. And
puff of wind.
like you always said, if you have a purpose, like nothing's going to take you out.
He faced his assassin and got a puff of wind.
Yeah. And that might be honestly what takes him to our next president. This event could be what catapults him. What, the devil used for bad, God uses for good.
Yes.
This could be the event that does that. And it just backed your prophecy that you got years ago. So I thought this is the time that we need to share this.
So yeah, what we just wanted to share these things with you and watch Trump. He'll become president not because, he's of himself.
Right.
He's got a destiny to
Yes.
fulfill.
He has a purpose and
And so that destiny will be fulfilled. And whether or not you like him or you don't like him,
God's using it.
yeah, just watch him to see. Pray for our country.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, that's what the strategy of AI is going to do. Now there'll be some military intervention. He'll have to. I mean, you cannot drain the swamp unless you use the military,
Right.
because the people who are in charge are the ones that are corrupt.
We have so many corrupt. Yes. That
So,
you said he didn't even know.
yes, so the military, I actually think you will call for martial law and actually go in and sift through the FBI and through the DOJ and through lots of different things using the military
Hmm.
and use them to try these different cases, because he's not going to be able to get the DOJ and the FBI to cooperate with him.
Hmm.
They've already proven they're not going to do that. So I really believe that the military will be brought into. Now, YouTube might not like what we're saying, and they may kick us off after this. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but
We got to do what we feel like we're led to do. We were going to do a
exactly.
different podcast altogether, and the Lord changed our minds.
Last minute this happened, and it was like, you know what? It's time to share what the Lord told me about President Trump over the years. And it's becoming clearer now than it was then, that he is going to be the one that takes us into it while he's in presidency into the end times. And
Now,
we better.
there's one other thing I'd like to say. There was a prophecy about Benjamin Netanyahu. Uh, there is a station or a network called God TV. It's
Yes.
not in America.
Okay.
And the woman that was over it at that time's name was Wendy Alec. All right. And she made a prophecy. It's out there, and some of you guys may not have heard it, but I do uh, stress that you go and look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And in her prophecy, she said that Benjamin Netanyahu, this was in 2008, would take 3 terms, then would become prime minister during the end time. All right.
Oh.
So he did the 3 terms, and of course, their terms last 5 years. And then after that, he didn't get elected immediately. Of course, I thought, okay, this is the 4th term, but she didn't say 4th term. She just said he would get elected 3 terms in a row, and then at the end. So we had all this stuff with Israel bouncing around, right?
Yes. Yes.
But here is something else. There was a prophecy about Donald Trump, and that prophecy said that he would be like Benjamin Netanyahu. As Benjamin Netanyahu was to Israel, Donald Trump will be to America at that time.
Wow. Okay.
So that's taking us back to our 2025 thing.
Yes.
25, the 70th week of Daniel to start. So we want to let you guys know that next year, and we're into what, July of 2024.
Mm.
Next year, sometime, and I think it's towards the end of the year, fall to the winter, that the two-state solution, and I really believe with all my heart that Donald Trump is going to be the
Mhm.
one that brings that about. He'll be
Mhm.
instrumental in it, and that's why Satan is trying to get him out of office
Oh yeah. Yeah.
for that purpose.
Right.
Not because, we're not riding the Republican ticket here. We're telling you what we feel like God's plan is.
Show does. Yeah.
People might not like that. I'm sorry if you don't, but all I'm asking for you to do is to watch it.
Right.
Watch and see what happens with him
Mhm.
and how this unfolds, because he's got a destiny to fulfill, and that destiny is to get that two-state solution put together.
So the temple can be rebuilt. So
So
we can start the end time. I mean,
yeah,
that's going to throw us into that.
yeah. So yeah, make sure you take a look at that. We'll be getting back into our biblical studies again, but I did want to share this
Yes.
to kind of let you know what the Lord did say to me. But now I didn't foresee him being shot. There were people who did.
Yeah, there
I
were
actually felt like I was bearing witness that they were telling the truth. But the AI
falls right into that.
strategy,
Falls right into
I
that.
said it way back in 2020 on our Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page. The strategy of AI is coming. And people ask me what it meant, and I didn't really fully know. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew how AI was taken, but I didn't realize now until after these years had went by how that all these people coming against him is actually revealing who his enemies is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so be praying for our nation, and you
Yes.
guys across the big pond. We appreciate you tuning in, but God bless you. We'll be getting more into more biblical studies in the future.
All right. If you are enjoying the content and would like to support our ministry, you can do so through Venmo or PayPal. Our handle is @CardingTruth, or use our QR code. And as always, we would like to thank you all for tuning in with us today. Today's episode was a little bit different than our typical podcast, but with what's going on in our world today, that is what is actually going to tie into the scenario that we're painting about our end times. We ask that if you like this content, that you will like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. And as always, be blessed, and we'll see you next time.